Welcome into the Todd Bowles Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Todd Bowles. Man, congratulations on that win, 4th in a row. I also really enjoyed watching your message in the locker room afterward. We got an enthusiastic Bowles, which is how you know it was a good win. Tell me how that win brought on that reaction for you. Why was this win and this game a big deal?
It was against a very good team. It was a complete team performance. All three phases contributed, and we finished the game. I was most happy about the offense running the ball, finishing the game, the defense getting a turnover at the end of the ball game, and doing a great job before the end of the half, not letting them get in field goal range. So this is one of the few times we finished the game completely on both sides of the ball, so I was happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, and to hear that you scored 40 on the number one scoring defense and 10 more points than anyone else has been able to put up on them this year. What does that stat say to you?
I mean, it says we fought hard. We fought hard, and we still had some penalties where we could have did a little more. Obviously, we're always striving to be better, but the performance and the energy we had coming out of the locker room and the energy we had coming out of the half was big for us.
I know Baker, 22 of 27, 288 yards, 4 touchdowns, became just the 3rd quarterback in franchise history to throw 30 touchdown passes in a season. Specifically in this game, what stood out to you about some of those numbers?
Played a very smart game. He was on point most of the time. He threw the one turnover, obviously, but other than that, he was sharp. He was sharp in the pocket. He moved well. He scrambled when he had to, and not just because he needed to. And he made some throws, some off-schedule throws, especially the touchdown to Mike when he found him coming across the field. That was outstanding. So he played a very good ball game.
And then what did happen on the one interception?
He went play action. I thought it was a little bit behind him, but I think he saw the linebacker in the rear view where he couldn't throw it all the way in front of him, so it kind of got behind him. The guy made a heck of a play.
You guys have been the only team to score on the first 2 possessions against the Chargers all season. At the end of the first quarter, Baker was 9 of 10 for 116 yards and a touchdown. And now you guys have the most points scored in the first quarter in the NFL this year. What is clicking so well, particularly early in the game?
The execution, the play calls have been outstanding. Everybody has a good idea of what we're trying to do and what we're trying to get accomplished.
And then I know that it does seem like there seems to be a coincidence on when some of his interceptions are happening. Do we just hand the ball off in the second quarter now? Is this the plan moving forward?
If that's what it's going to take not to turn it over, yes, it will be.
Yes, it will be. I know that Mike Evans also officially moved into the top 25 all-time in receiving yards, finished with 159, including his longest reception of the season and 2 touchdowns. Tell me why this game. We know Mike is capable of this, it seems like a lot of different times, but we also know defenses tend to really focus in hard on him. So what was it about this game, the matchups, or what he and Baker were seeing out there that led to this being a pretty explosive one for him?
They didn't double him. When you don't double him, you're asking for trouble. Mike, he's a heck of a competitor. He made some plays out there. When Baker scrambled, he found him and he saw him in his rear view and he hit him and he broke a tackle and he ran down the field. They didn't double him on the other touchdown at all. They played one high. The guy had outside leverage. Baker put it on the inside. He made another great play. He made quite a few great catches on 3rd down. And, when you don't double Mike, you're asking for it.
Take us through his couple touchdowns and what stood out to you.
The first one, the catch on the scramble was good enough, but then he broke a tackle. The guy went high. He never broke stride on the sidelines, like he ran right through it. So then he sprinted to the end zone. Then the one after that, he gave him an outside move, which kept him outside, and he bent it inside. But Baker made a very smart throw of leading him inside so the DB couldn't come back and get it.
And then I know also he had one play at DB essentially out there that when Baker threw a ball and there was a chance it might get intercepted, and Mike seemed to make a pretty impressive play to ensure that it didn't. What are some of the things like that, or when you look at that play, that we know Mike's capabilities in the receiving game and some of those big play things, but what does he do along the lines of that or other things that we don't always know to appreciate about him?
It says a lot about his intelligence. Our receivers are taught if they don't catch it, nobody catches it. So they got to strip the DBs if they're in position to make picks and everything else, and he did that. So it just goes to show what kind of intelligence he has as a player doing the little things right.
We knew coming out of last week that Bucky had gotten a little banged up in that last game. What did you know about how healthy he and Rashad were going to be and how you plan on using the two of them going into this game?
He looked a lot better on Friday. On Friday, he looked very good in practice. He looked like the old Bucky. He had a smile on his face, and you kind of knew he was back. And once he's back, you saw what you saw. You're going to see that Bucky every single time.
Yeah, and let's talk about what that Bucky was. Finished with 117 rushing yards. His second 100-plus rushing yard day. He is the only rookie with multiple of those this year. What does that say to you, and what stood out specifically about this game as well?
Says a lot about the offensive line, the receivers, and the tight ends doing all the blocking. But Bucky, when he's healthy, he can make the first person miss almost every time. Good 1-2 punch with him and Rashad and Sean coming in third. They change of pace, the runs. They all have certain runs that they can do. They all have a change of pace that gives us energy. But when he makes that first guy miss, you better look out because he can get down the field pretty quick.
Yeah, tell us about that 54-yarder and not only he, but everybody else that really contributed to that one.
There was some great blocks along the way. There was some great blocks. Cole Keefe being one of them. Cole had some great blocks on a lot of runs this week. We used them a lot more yesterday than we've used them before, and he sprung Bucky, and once Bucky got on the run, it was clear sailing for him.
And man, to run for over 200 yards on one of the best defenses in the league, especially when at halftime, Baker was your leading rusher with 25 yards. So what happened suddenly in the second half here?
We started executing better. We were shooting ourselves in the foot in the first half. We were getting holding penalties. We were getting 1st and 20 or 2nd and 15, and we were going backed up there. But once we got the penalties out the way, we started rolling pretty good.
And I know that the team has now rushed for over 150 yards 6 times this season. It's the first time in franchise history that the team has surpassed 150 rushing yards in 4 straight games. Can you point to anything specific that has happened to this season at large, but especially these last few games, that it has become such a consistent thing to be seeing these numbers?
I think it's the chemistry between the coaches and the players. Carver and Pacucci do a great job, along with Liam, of laying out what type of runs we want. They do a great job of explaining it to the offensive line and teaching the techniques. And those guys have such chemistry up front that they're really working together very well, and they're getting it done.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here on the Todd Bowles Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Todd Bowles Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Todd Bowles. Jalen McMillan, second highest receiver of the game, set a new career high last week, then did it again this game, and had already done it by the end of the first quarter, which is not too shabby. He ended up with 75 yards and a touchdown, which is his third in 2 games, and he now has the most receiving touchdowns by a Bucs rookie since 2017.
Wow.
So tell me, what has emerged for him these last few weeks? Why has suddenly it become Jalen McMillan time, particularly in the end zone?
His confidence, his understanding of the game plan. He was always a good route runner and had great hands and competitive, but his understanding of the offense has been big. Baker's trusting him. He's getting open. His cutout of breaks is probably second to none, and you can see it. He was open a few weeks before. We just couldn't get to him for some reason or another, but he's really making his presence felt right now and open the game, because they're really favoring Mike early on to get those plays done like he's got it done and opened up the offense more. He's doing a great job for us.
And then take us through his touchdown, because, man, now he's had a couple touchdowns here recently that are just very open.
Caught him in man-to-man. Cade did a good job running up, setting up for him and stopping the DB a little bit. We gave a hesitation move for J-Mac to get open, and Baker hit him right on the dime.
So let's talk about your defense here for a little bit. I mean, so the Chargers score in the first 3 possessions, then that was it. They were done for the whole rest of the game. What do you feel like you guys were able to do to adjust or to lock them down, what they had been doing well early on, and then what you guys were able to do? Because that's pretty incredible to hold an offense like that to just 0 points for that many possessions in a row.
Well, they got 2 over routes early on. Our hook player didn't get back or didn't get his eyes back, so they got down there, and then they got down there off a turnover one time. And then one other time they got down there as well. But after that, I thought when taking away the run game was huge for us, and winning first down was big for us. Getting them in 2nd and long and 3rd and long, when we could really kind of get after the quarterback a little bit, first down helped us out.
I know the most important stat is always wins. But after that, the fact that they did not convert a single 3rd or 4th down, is that maybe the best music to your ears after just whether or not you won the game?
It's one of them. It's something we talk about. If you can do well in 3rd down and do well in the red zone, you have a chance to win a lot of games.
And again, this is not a bad offense that you were able to do that against.
It's a very good offense and a very good quarterback.
Yeah, so tell me why you think that stat is what it is, of 0 on both.
We had some different things that we wanted to try out, and those guys were really getting after it up front. We thought our corners outside could play man-to-man on the receivers if we had them up close, but we mixed up quite a few things, and those guys executed very well.
Since the bye week, your defense has allowed the fewest points per game in the NFL. An easy explanation would be if suddenly we'd gotten way more healthy. But that's not what's happened at all. So tell me what has happened since the bye week of how even with this patchwork group of people that you're having so many injuries, pulling guys back off waiver wires from other guys' practice squads, how you've still been able to do this.
Just going back to basics, fundamentals and technique. We saw before the bye week the things we were messing up as far as missing tackles, taking bad angles, not doing the little things right. And we really wanted to focus on that, and we stopped focusing on the opponent. And we thought if we could focus on that part and just do that right, we had a chance to win some ball games. And we've cleaned a lot of that up, and it's got to be week by week, and it's definitely got to keep on going. But that's all we've been focusing on.
Someone who we know is definitely always good at that is Lavonte David, and now he has become just the 8th player since 1991 to have at least 40 sacks and 30 takeaways. Wow. Yeah, that's a pretty incredible number. And you think about the players that have played defense in that time, and to think about him, especially that sack number, and the fact that he was able to get, I guess it ended up finally being 1.5 in the game instead of 2. But what led to that in this game, and then even this season at large, why that number has been what it is?
Well, he's a heck of a blitzer, and with people down injury-wise, we're trying to get every inch out of it. He does a great job picking. He does a great job rushing on his own. He does a great job setting up other people. So we've kind of opened up a new outlet for him to affect the ball game, and he's doing a great job doing it.
And he has his highest number of sacks since 2016, which is at 34, pretty incredible. How do you see him being able to essentially just turn back that time and be defying that father time so often with these kind of stats?
Highly intelligent player, very motivated. Practices like he plays. He gets turnovers in practice, he gets them in the game. He plays the game like he practices. And when you do that, and Winfield's another one that does that, when you do that, you're going to have success a lot.
Now, because it was only awarded the 1.5 sacks instead of 2, he's just a 1/2 sack behind Vita and Kalijah for the team lead. Do you see this increasing some competition here between these three guys, especially now that the old man Lavonte is right on their heels?
There's more competition with the coaches than there are the players of which position gets that sack. Ooh. So there's still an argument going on there between Coach Rogers and Coach Foote, obviously. So it's going to be a very interesting, because Logan got a 1.5 sacks, and Lavonte got a 1.5 sacks, and there's a question on that sack, 1 sack, of who had what and who was there first. So the players is friendly competition. The coaches, they're at each other's throats.
I love it. That's great. We're going to take another break here on the Todd Bowles Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Todd Bowles Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Todd Bowles. So Justin Herbert had the 5th longest streak of passes going without throwing an interception in NFL history. And then our guy Jamel Dean comes in there and snaps it. Tell me about that play and just how impressive it is to be able to get an interception on a guy like Herbert who doesn't throw them.
Ooh, we had a pressure on, so I thought it might have been tipped a little bit, but Dean did a heck of a job tracking the football, which Dean, sticky fingers Dean, he'll catch him in practice. He hadn't had much luck in the game, but I thought yesterday was one of the best games I've seen him play since I've been here. He was breaking passes up, but on the interception, he did a great job tracking the ball. And to see Dean excited is something to behold, because you don't usually see it as much. He keeps it inside most of the time. When he got excited, I felt happy. I said, okay, this guy has arrived.
That's awesome. Did he maybe learn this from you? That I've heard you call him your mini-me occasionally, too.
I have way more interceptions than Dean.
Oh.
We're not even in that category.
It's not even close.
We're not even in that category.
What was I thinking?
He's definitely faster than I was.
All right. Well, you'll give him that. That's fair. How about the rest of your secondary, especially Kayvon Merriweather? We've talked about the last couple games after coming back from the Lions practice squad, has been asked to step in and do a lot.
Merriweather's came on the last 2 weeks that he's been playing. He's playing like a true pro and a true vet. He studies, he carries out the game plan, he makes some big plays. He lines people up, he keeps the communication going, and he's really been a breath of fresh air for us, and I'm happy to see him playing like this.
We've talked about how many injuries you've had in your secondary, that it has been since the start of week 1, since your original starters have all gotten to be in there together. What are some of the ways that you've been able to get creative, either with the kind of packages you're dialing up or the people you use and how you do that to still be able to, again, take down a team that has such a prolific offense, great quarterback, the ways you've been able to play chess back there with everybody?
It's a lot of work. We as coaches get in a meeting and we try to figure out, we make sure we don't stray away from what they do well, and we try to base packages on that. So if Merriweather does something well, we'll do this. If Izzy does something well, we'll do that. Tavier this. Ryan Neal played down in the box a little more, so we did a lot of things that he can do. So the package is kind of offset where 6 or 7 guys have to be doing the same thing, but then there's about 3 or 4 guys that you have to move around that can do other things to make the other guys stay normal and stay how they are. So we've done a good job collaborating and mixing that together.
And then how about your defensive line? We saw Vita definitely bringing a lot of pressure up into Herbert's face. Saw Kalijah having to drop back into coverage some. Logan Hall getting some sacks. I feel like your D-line did all the things in this game.
Logan came off the ball. He had a heck of a game. Kalijah, especially on the play with Ladd, and especially with the play with Ladd, he did a heck of a job. If he had turned his head around, he might have got an interception, but he rushes out on the edge for us. He rushes inside for us, and Vita, his play speaks for himself, and he opens everybody else up, which opens him up because they start drifting away from him and not doubling him, and that's when he can make his plays. But together, those guys have done a great job all year.
All right, we're going to take one more break here on the Todd Bowles Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Todd Bowles Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Todd Bowles. Is there anything kind of special to you about getting to go back and play at different places that you've coached before?
No, there really isn't, because, you're trying to win a ball game at the time. There might be a person that you're close to that you can see before or after the game, but at the same time, we're trying to get the win, so not as much.
And then are you excited about it being primetime game as a coach? Do you enjoy that, or is it more just kind of frustrating on the scheduling part or being out of the normal rhythms and habit?
You always like playing prime time. You just like to be prime time 1 o'clock or 4 o'clock. Unless you're at home, because then the trip back, you get back wee hours in the morning. Then as a coach, you have to come in and get ready for the next game so you don't get any sleep. But I'll take it.
You'll take it. And then, so now Cooper Rush is compared to Dak Prescott. What have you seen from these guys so far this season and how it potentially does or doesn't change their offense?
I don't think it changes as much. I think they changed the kind of style they want to play with him from a passing standpoint. He's a very smart player. He understands. He knows he gets the ball to CeeDee Lamb quite a bit. They have a very good running game, and he doesn't turn the ball over.
Yeah, tell me about some of those other offensive weapons and what stands out to you.
Well, Dowdle's a very good running back, obviously. He can get open. Cooks has been hurt a little bit, but they got their tight end back, who's a very good player, and their second leading receiver, and their offensive line is huge. So it's going to be a big challenge for us. Yeah, and
CeeDee Lamb is such a unique wide receiver. What are the challenges of covering someone that's like him?
Second to none. He's whether it's a short pass or a deep pass, whether he's doubled or tripled, he can run reverses. He can take screens to the house. He can beat you deep. Even when you got him covered, he's not covered because he does such a great job in space and catching the football. He makes a lot of contested catches, and that makes him very tough.
And then how about Micah Parsons, another guy that can pretty single-handedly make a lot of people annoyed on a Sunday. So
he's a game wrecker.
He is a guy that can ruin a lot of things. So what stands out about the way he's been playing so far and what you guys are going to have to do?
Non-stop motor, non-stop effort. He's a game wrecker. He's a heck of an athlete. We're going to have to be on our P's and Q's trying to slow him down.
And how about the rest of their defensive front outside of him? What stands out?
They're tough. They play tough. They play tough football. They understand. They got a very nice blitz package as well. If they can get you behind the sticks on first down, they really get after you.
And then how, if at all, have you been changing the schedule for the team, for the coaches, and just what it looks like having a West Coast game, this last game where you're getting back late and then again having to travel again Sunday night football, whether it's the schedule that weekend or leading up to the game itself, how does that affect anything that you guys do? Because I know players are always creatures of habit.
It doesn't affect us at all. Really, it's just a normal week for us, from Wednesday walkthrough to Thursday practice to a Friday practice, and then we kind of get ready Saturday to go, and we have our routine when we get to the hotel as far as our meetings are concerned, and we get ready to play. But we try to keep it as normal as possible, try to keep it as focused and streamlined as possible so we can concentrate on the task at hand.
All right, well, Coach, thank you as always for the time, and congratulations on the win.
Thank you.